Snappy dudes, party peoples. What's up? It's your boy Bobo. I hate it when people say that. It's your boy. It's your boy here. Yeah, I'm no one's boy, but it is Bobo here from BrassReel Movie Reviews, and welcome to. We're going to be talking about American Horror Story, New York City. So I'm trying to get this all worked out still, but I just can't get it going the way I want it to. Trying to make it American Horror Story. It's just not doing anything. Check. Oh, there we go. That's what I needed to do. So let's try it one more time. I'm going to be talking about American Horror Story, New York City. Yeah, I tested that out there. But I don't know if you guys are fans of American Horror Story. I am, and I've gone back and forth with it. I'm not necessarily in love with Double Feature, the last season that came out. I thought that it had elements like starting off, it was really good. And they did two stories within 6 episodes apiece. And I honestly felt like the second story they did, which was this sort of like old school alien black and white deal, where it was like, Martians like Roswell, Area 51, 19, like back in black and white days type stuff. And I mean, that's fine, but it just wasn't scary to me at all. And then when the stuff that they had before then, where it was like the writer who had the little girl and they were moving to the town and it was by the bay. And next thing you know, she's a vampire and there's vampires around the whole town. And it was all good until they just ended it super abruptly. So that all that just kind of bugged me about that season. They bit off too much. They didn't need to do 2 stories. They just should have stuck with 1 story. And it also just because of that, it ended just real quickly. And that second story was just useless. I didn't like it at all. But I mean, I loved seasons 1 through 9. I mean, look, I own them all, every bit of it, right? So, especially season 9, 1984, I thought it was awesome. Now, some are better than others. I think my weakest season is Apocalypse, but then even then that gets better towards the end. At first it was just kind of wacky, then it gets really good towards the end. Seasons 1 through 7 to me all phenomenal. I love every episode of all of those seasons. I mean, Evan Peters, Sarah Paulson, Kathy Bates, I mean, Angela Bassett, everybody that's fluctuated through there. And I'm just naming a few. There's still Lily Rabb, Jessica Lange. Um, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank on O'Hare. What's his name? Not Jim O'Hare, but somebody will correct me. Why am I drawing a blank on him? But he's in all of it, and I mean, some of those series were extremely frightening. Like there were moments in some of those episodes where I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I have to say, after season 9, it kind of started losing something. Like I don't know, it just wasn't quite as like shocking anymore. I feel like they're losing some of their shock value, which is part of what makes American Horror Story work. But that's not to be saying that, that you can't do good stuff with that. And that's what's leading me into American Horror Story New York City. So, first off, I didn't know this was out until a few days ago. I don't know why. I don't feel like they've been advertising it like they normally advertise this show, but I really had no clue that it was already out. So, it was on episode 4. I watched all the episodes on Halloween, and then yesterday they released episode 5 and 6. Which I was wondering why they were gonna release 5 and 6 like that, like 2 episodes in one night. But when you see episode 6, you realize they needed to do it because they were like, "We gotta tell people what's going on here or give them something." And I feel like it did do that. So, American Horror Story New York City. If you guys don't know what it's about a serial killer in New York in the 1980s that's picking off homosexuals. And there's also a hint of a little viral thing going on. and it's kind of all over the place like most American Horror Story shows are. You know, they try to implement like 2 or 3 plot lines and somehow or another mesh it together, and they're trying to do that with this one, but it's focusing on this guy right here who's a cop, and everyone at the police precinct doesn't know that he's gay, and his boyfriend is this guy Gino, who's a reporter. And both of these guys are great actors. They really you do get wrapped up into their relationship. Like you find yourself really wanting to like rooting for them. You get attached to them. They really show you what's going on with their relationship. They show you where they are. They're struggling. And the reporter is completely out. He's very out about the fact that he's gay. And the cop is not out. And he's worried the way he's going to get treated between everybody at the police precinct. And, just classic stuff from the 80s that people really dealt with. And look, I like the plot line. I think that it's like I am not one of those people that have any problem with any sort of diversity being shown on screen. I don't have a problem with a dude kissing another dude on screen, anything like it's just never bothered me. I don't get awkward by that. I've grown up and have been around so much diversity and culture already with the lifestyle that I like to have, being a musician and things like that and being a rocker. And I've just that stuff doesn't bother me. However, there are people that are kind of talking about like, why are they going so over the top with this? And I don't think that they are. I think that they're just showing you the inside of a culture that when people start getting picked off, this is kind of what you would see. And if you remember in the 80s, there was a lot of stuff to where people in the gay community weren't being taken seriously. And because you know, that was frowned upon by a certain huge group of people. And they do shine a light on that in this. And they do it in a really good way. They do it in a way to where it doesn't seem like it's being shoved down your throat like some sort of agenda or anything like that. It's actually they're just telling the story through this kind of community and culture's eyes. My only big problem with this show so far, it's well done, it's well shot. Like I said, everybody's doing good in it, and the acting's really well. You got some return cast members in there, like Leslie Grossman plays a character. Billy Lord, who is Carrie Fisher's daughter, she plays like this uh, biologist slash doctor who is she's observing this virus that is starting to sort of take over a bunch of animals, and she's worried about it transferring over to humans, which is sort of a parallel or a metaphor of what we were dealing with AIDS, because that was supposedly come from the monkey transfer over to humans. So there's the discrimination thing, there's sort of the parallel with AIDS thing, and then there's the people having separate lives thing, and then there's the horror thing. Well, even though it's about somebody going around and and this guy going around, he's a big daddy. That's what his if you see in the this guy in the back of my thumbnail here, he's like all dressed up in this leather harness and it's got this, S&M leather mask on. He goes around and he's haunting people in the just everywhere in New York City, and people are getting picked off. And you pretty quickly find out that this guy right here is doing it, who's also gay. And so all this is going on, and I like this plot line, and it also has Zachary Quinto in it, or Quinto, and he plays sort of this rich guy. And again, everybody that you see, almost every character in this is gay. You've got her who I'm not sure if she's gay or straight, but she just plays like a gay bathhouse singer. And then you have Sandra Bernard, who was in Apocalypse, and she played a like Satan worship leader, a coven leader or something. But then but she in this one plays this kind of lesbian reporter. And then you got Hal Cal Penn playing like this sort of bigot New York police chief. So I mean, it has a decent cast in it, and it's kind of more. They should have called it American crime thriller story, because it's not all that horrific until about the 6th episode. And then it all comes together, and then you see like it actually, okay, this is starting to, I see what they were doing with this. But up until then, I just found it to not be as shocking as the prior seasons were. Like I really like, again, like any of the homosexual stuff, I like that. Like that's fine. Like I don't that doesn't bother me at all. Like, some of the creepiest moments you had were, like, the rubber man scenes between the Zachary Quinto and his boyfriend in season 1, and they've always been provocative throughout the series, so that's not I just wanna make that clear. I have no issues with that. I just am not finding it all that scary, and the 6th episode does bring a little bit of horror into it, but used to they never used to shy away from showing what was going on with people on screen, how they were getting killed, how they were getting murdered, what was happening, just in general. You got a very close up bird's eye view of everything, and it never you they didn't shy away from it. And in this one, I feel like they're kind of pulling some punches. I feel like that they're kind of going soft on us. I don't know if that they had to make a deal to do that because it's been signed on for season 12 and 13. Thankfully, this isn't another double feature type situation. But I mean, look, this guy's the killer so far is creepy, and you're just now starting to find out some stuff with him. But you also follow these guys right here, and they're all interesting. The guy in the middle, I can't remember his name, but I swear I thought that was Reese from Malcolm in the Middle the whole time, but it's not. It's somebody totally different, but it looks a lot like him. Um, there's this group of people that you're following, and they're worried about people in the gay community dying, and that whole idea is the cops aren't taking them serious, and that did happen, and that's fine if I'm watching a story that's called American Crime Thriller Story, but this is American Horror Story, New York City, and yes, I know it's horrific, like what's actually happening, but man, when you have seasons like American Horror Story Cult, I mean, I personally loved Coven. I loved Roanoke. I thought Roanoke was awesome. But I mean, I've loved them all. I thought that Asylum was good. Murder House is obviously great. Everybody loved it. I think that's the fan favorite. Um, Hotel was freaky as shit. Freak Show. All of them have been just really. I mean, like I said, in the 1984, I love that one just because of the whole 80s vibe. Um, Apocalypse out of 1 through 9 is my least favorite in the beginning, but like I said, it starts to redeem itself towards the end and then turns into something pretty cool. Season 10 was where it sort of took a weird route for me. I do feel like this one is better in quality so far. Remember, this is only mid-season review. This is only up to episode 6 now. I do feel like this one is better in quality as far as season 10. I don't know if COVID or excuse me, happening had something to do with everything, and it just in turn an awesome season because remember, it didn't about come out halfway through, like they were mentioning it was going to be like a red tide season, and then about halfway through they said, oh, we're going to call it double feature, like before they actually released it. So I mean, that one I don't know if it was hindered just because of the virus hitting and everything, but I do feel like this one is a little more thought out. I'm glad they're not doing a double feature. It is better quality in general as storytelling, just not finding it all that scary quite yet. There are some jacked up things that happen in it, don't get me wrong. Um, and like I said, this guy's a killer is really good. Um, I mean, this guy, I can't remember his name, but him and Gino, they're really awesome. Like their character development is really good. You really get into both of them. You care about both of them. Zachary Quinto, I mean, what he's never been bad in anything he's been in. He's awesome in everything. So especially season 2 in Asylum. Everybody's great in it. It's just not scary. It's just not as jacked up and fucked up as I want it to be. So I just wanted to do kind of a quick talk about the season 2 mid-season kind of talk about it. It's still American Horror Story. It still has the vibes. But I mean, they do want you to feel like you're watching sort of an 80s movie, like an early 80s movie too. I think it takes place in like 1981. So, I mean, technically that's still kind of the 70s. Um, so, if you're a fan of American Horror Story, the originals, this one is a little lighter. I'm not going to lie. It's just not quite getting as sadistic and just content or tone. Not just, I mean, because the content still is kind of there, but I mean, with like Hotel and Roanoke and like the Coven stuff, they went to some really dark places. Cult, extremely dark places. They just aren't going there, I don't feel like. And maybe that's their intention. Maybe they're wanting to totally just do this type of a thing. Maybe they have something like really jacked up planned for season 12, but I'm just not feeling super like, I mean, even up till season 9, when I was watching season 9, I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait to see this next episode. I'm super stoked. I mean, that's just the way I always felt. I'm just not quite feeling that way right now. So we'll see it up to the end. Like I said, this last episode 6, did unveil some things and a twist that I won't reveal that worked out pretty damn good. And I was like, okay, this is starting to get pretty cool here. I like that. So we'll see where they go with episode 7. And I'm not sure if they're going full 10 episodes with this, if they're doing 9 or what, but I mean, it's definitely over the halfway point. And hopefully they can give us something that's really memorable, because I don't mind a slow burn, and I don't even mind something crazy happening towards the end. If it's a twist that unveils something that's been jacked up this entire time and you just didn't know it. So, well, there it is, guys. That'll do it for this little chat about American Horror Story in New York City. And I'll probably talk about the end of this season. So when it's over, I'll probably do a full season review and tell you what I think of it as a whole. But hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. And remember, if life gives you lemons, make some hot fish popcorn.